Hello and welcome back to our official release Rogue Trader Lord Captain Officer playthrough. I'm Shadow Coast and welcome to the channel. Let's jump right back in.
I always keep my options open.
Ethelthrad, that is simply irrational, Lady Theodora, says the man dressed in peculiar garb, his voice tight with tension. His face, half of which is covered by thin skin, is twisted in a grimace of displeasure and disbelief. Assimilation into the trade structure would be political and economic suicide, practically an admission of heresy. Theodora. The tall, gray-haired woman pins him with her gaze, her cybernetic eye flashing crimson. Then suggests an alternative that will satisfy me. I have described a situation no worse than my seneschal could have done. Make a decision. What will you do with Aeon 6, Ethelthred? We're going to survey the room. Your first impression of Ethelthred, who appears to be about 30 years, is of parchment-like skin stretched over a tightly bundled mass of sinews, implants, and bone. The nervously twitching fingers, the face twisted in by a slight tic, and the jerky movements are all signs of some illness or defect that has long taken over his physical form. In stark contrast to Adolthrath, Theodore von Valentius's features appear as if they were carved from marble, eternal and indestructible. Head raised high, proud posture, hands clasped casually behind her back. Everything seems to emphasize the difference in status between her and Ethelthred. Behind the two of them, you see two more men. One is a gray-haired officer of impeccable bearing who is studying the contents of his data slate. The other is a behemoth bristling with holsters and baldricks containing all manner of weapons. Theodora, our second candidate has joined us. The dry female voice and the powerful feeling of being watched force you to look at Theodora. The rogue trader is looking straight at you, and her gaze, like herself, is predatory and oppressive. Shadow Coast, approach and give me your answer. Alright, here, passive skill tests are important. Your character's skills reflect their knowledge, so this will impact our journey. Alright, so we got Lord Zeno succeeded. This is interesting because I do believe that we're on an Imperial world, so I thought our Xenos were leveled to 0, but it looks like we somehow passed. Theodore, consider this hypothetical situation. Aeon 6, a new world on the fringes of the Cronus Expanse. High seismic activity, regular magma eruptions, metamorphic rock deposits, prospects for large-scale mining. The world is populated by natives who worship some heretical underworld spirits that protect those who offer them sacrifices. Flights of fancy, you might say, but attempts to install ore extractors have failed for the second time. The mining crews sent to the planet's surface simply vanished overnight. My question to you is, what would you do with this poisoned treasure? Alright, Lord Zeno succeeded. Those spirits could well be the natives' name for dangerous aliens. I'd first verify if that is indeed the case and if the population of Aeon 6 engages in Zeno worship. Alright, let's go with that. Why not? We succeeded in it. Theodore arches an eyebrow. Reasonable and prudent. However, chasing after ethereal creatures may prove a rather long and fruitless endeavor. Adolthrat scoffs. Apart from Xenos, an untrodden planet might be teeming with myriad of horrors that are far more dangerous and difficult to eradicate. I suspect that you, Shadow Coast, are simply unaware of their existence. Alright, we're going to be a little punchy here. I gave a straight answer to a simple question, which, as I understand, was more than you could do, Adolthrad. Adolthrad, the color drains from Adolthrad's face, which distorts his features further. Insolent, ignorant upstart, how dare you? Adolthrad, Theodore's tone renders him silent. I believe I gave you an assignment on the ship. Explain to me, then, why my senior congregator is still dawdling about the officer's deck instead of proceeding to the middle decks to commence the inspection of the compartments in his purview. I beg your forgiveness, Lady Theodora. Your presence has such a profound effect on me that I well forgot the time. Ethelthraud bows ceremoniously and takes his leave without sparing you another look. Good to know. He's slowly walking away. I do like her cape. Theodora's gaze follows him as he leaves, then she returns to you. So, Shadow Coast, why are you here? Alright, I do not know just yet. I hope you will clarify that. Theodora smiles wryly. Clarity, a luxury that few of us can afford. There is a reason why I did not explain all the details of the question I posed to you earlier. Beyond the borders of the Imperium, seldom is one granted an opportunity to enjoy information in abundance. This, however, is one such opportunity. My name is Theodora von Valentius Massimo of Scaris. I am a rogue trader in the service of the God Emperor of humanity, and my rights and freedoms are vindicated by a most sacred relic, the warrant of trade, kept aboard this very vessel. Mine is the honor to venture into the darkness beyond the Imperium and carry humanity's light where powers wicked and heretical reign and bode death and ruin to us all. It is my decision alone to determine the fate of whatever I find past the bounds of the explored void. Every world I discover, along with all there is to find thereon, resources, people, riches, and mysteries, is mine by rights. I command millions of lives, rule over numerous planets, and possess fortunes that no planetary governor or commander could dream of amassing. And you, Shadow Coast, are one of those with the Von Valencius blood in their veins and a rightful claim to this inheritance when the hour comes. One of? Does that mean there are other heirs? Naturally, some have yet to arrive aboard, but you have had the pleasure of meeting one of them. Edeltrad may be somewhat disconcerted by the scale of responsibilities that may potentially fall upon his shoulders. However, I have a good feeling about him as a candidate. Blood right alone is not enough to earn the right high honor of becoming the bearer of the warrant of trade. Nonetheless, your abilities and talents may yet prove useful, if not for the role of Lord Captain, then for that of their closest ally. Theodora sighs and looks away pensively for a brief moment. Alas, even those responsibilities that can come at times too challenging to those who share your blood. Kunrad Wukver served me for many years before he made his mistake. Alright. If you're satisfied with Edelthrad, then what sense is there having this conversation? Why are you wasting your time on me? Theodora shakes her head. Impatience. I am rather fond of impatient people. They are not as quick to resign themselves to circumstances and more eager to show initiative. Even if I do choose Edelthrad as my successor, I will still require loyal advisors. The skills and knowledge you acquired in your former life may prove invaluable here in the Cronus Expanse. You were once a Lord Captain yourself, aboard your own ship. You know everything there is to know about the life of this gargantuan beast and its thousands of crew members. You know how fickle machine spirits can be, how weak-willed are the rabble from the lower decks, how a single tactical decision can turn the tide of a battle. Few people can claim to have such priceless experience that is so highly sought after in my calling. Moreover, Theodora chuckles slightly, even changing your family name will not rid you of the fame you previously garnered. I hope it will also help you bring glory to the Von Valencius dynasty, to which you now belong. Alright. So did I hear you correctly? The Master of Whispers is related to you? His kinship to me is most distant, as is yours. Nonetheless, he does bear the name Von Valencius, even if he avoids using it publicly, and as such, strictly speaking, can be considered my heir. That door, however, is closed to him. Vogtvir's performance in his current role is satisfactory, or used to be at least. Alright, I'm ready to take on the sacred purpose. Oh yes, would you be, wouldn't you? The question is, am I ready to choose you over the rest? You came aboard hours before the warp jump and have not yet distinguished yourself in any way. As things currently stand, I have doubts that you are suitable for the role of rogue trader. Thank you for clarifying. May I ask my questions now? The Vox affixed to Theodora's attire suddenly comes to life, but all you can hear is an unintelligible noise. Theodora winces, shuts off the transmission, and gives you an imperious nod. I have some time before the navigator gives the signal to initiate the void ship's translation out of warp. My presence is required on the bridge. Alright, an incident took place on the opposite deck. Some servitors went berserk and attacked the crew. Is that so? Perhaps the technomats were careless during maintenance, or it could be the warp is playing tricks on us in spite of the Geller field. Or perhaps there is something to all the stories about the ships being possessed after all. Theodora laughs nonchalantly. Abelard, the gray-haired officer, gives the rogue trader a look of cautious disapproval. Lady Theodora, for the God Emperor's sake, surely you do not intend to start the repeating idle rumors spread about our uneducated riffraff. Enough, Abelard. Such heresy amuses me. Or hearsay, excuse me, amuses me. A deer eagerly retells me everything she learns about the whispers of her unseen advisor. She turns to you. This ship is thousands of years old. It has enough hidden nooks, malfunctioning cogitators, and unused compartments to make ignorant folks speak of specters dwelling inside the bulkheads and plotting against those who yet live. Alright, where's your ship headed? To the Rykid system, the domain of the rogue trader Winterscale, one of my peers and rivals. Only 3 rogue traders exist in the Cronus Expanse, and each of them possess resources comparable to mine. Perhaps you will one day assist House von Valentius in surpassing both of them in affluence and splendor. I set the course to Rykid on the demand. Theodora grimaces. She gives you a stern look, then shrugs. For a very specific reason. Perhaps I shall yet apprise you of the purpose of this voyage, but now is not that time. Alright, what are my current responsibilities? Observe, learn, absorb. It will take time for you to find your bearings aboard this vessel, and in your new position, eventually I will find a post that suits you as it did for Edelthrad. Until that time comes, consider yourself my aide. Alright, I know what a navigator is. I'm a Lord Cap. Like I don't want to look like an idiot asking a question I should know. So I have no more questions for now. In that case, I shall head to Theodore's Vox awakens once more. This time you pick up shouting. The Lord Captain freezes, listening to the Voxcaster, then nods and draws her weapons. Disturbances reported on the adjacent deck. Seneschal, if the need arises, protect my new blood. She glances at you. It is possible that the chance to prove your worth may present itself sooner than you may have anticipated. Alright. Looks like we got some heretics. Oh wow, there are a lot of them. Initiative. All combatants act in turns and their order is determined by initiative. Their initiative roll. The order of turns is displayed on the left side of the screen. Alright, here. We are going to... Do we control everybody? Oh, you have been ambushed. The battle begins, so start the battle. Kill them. Source plus 50 ballistic skills. And we have that benefit. So that will help dramatically. And it looks like given Abelard and Mort and Theodora, they're able to dodge pretty well. Use cover to avoid enemy attacks. Cover that a character can hide behind are marked with a shield or a shield with a skull. When standing close to them, the character will automatically take up advantageous positions. The character will not receive a bonus if attacked from the side not protected in the current cover. So, pretty basic. Can we move wherever? I think the interesting thing is normally when we move, I don't know if we're bugged, but we should be able to see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are more guys over there. I'm gonna. Oh, now there we have to left click it.
Don't let your guard down.
All right.
Who if not me?
Alright, we're just kind of using our buffs.
I'll make
We're
it
gonna
happen. You never stood a chance.
nail that guy. How long do we have? Critical hit. The character just landed a critical hit. Critical damage increases. A critical hit that deals increased damage equal to the character's critical damage stat. A character's critical damage is 150% of their normal damage by default. However, certain talents and abilities can increase this. Each weapon has its own critical damage. So, if we were to go into here, look at this. We can kind of take more information down. The damage, so we're going to be at the basic 150%, so that's why we did 15 damage-ish. So we kind of took the midpoint and added that. What's this going to do? Officer force an ally to fully push themselves, increasing their characteristics.
I won't stand for it.
We can't. We have to buff someone in our party. Luckily, they missed. Alright, we're going to see if Abelard here... Ooh, he took a hit. Wait, why he has a chainsword? Parry? Parry? Alright. You just smoked those two.
I took care of this one.
Alright. Ooh, I think the graphics got a little better too compared to the alpha. Your character has received and beta. Your character has received a temporary positive effect from an ally. You can learn more about the effect hovering your cursor over it. So we have killed them. I think the question is, if we just it looks like so 30% chance. What happens if we move over here? So 30% chance. I don't think those percentages are accurate. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Oh, my ears are ringing.
Alright, that was a little exciting. Theodora waves her hands in a commanding gesture. Mort, take a team with you to clear a path to the transport line. Do not let a single Horson survive. The rogue trader turns her eyes on you. Didn't bat an eye when that scum busts onto the deck. Not bad. I've seen many an officer who panicked at the sight of combat on the upper decks. The false sense of security offered by their position makes them that much more vulnerable when the harsh realities of warp travel. She looks at the box in her hand. All you can hear is lifeless static. Interesting. The incident in the rampaging servitors may be connected to what is transpiring now. Possibly, quite likely. Theodora winces and flicks the switch on her Vox a few times. We will investigate at a later time. Right now, we need to isolate the affected compartments and try to assess the situation. What are your orders? We're not asking what's happening. Clearly, there's a revolt or something. Mutiny, maybe? She breaks eye contact with you. Morta's gone ahead to clear a path for us. If you want to make yourself useful, go after him and see if the Arch-Militant requires aid, and be quick about it. Alright, journal. These are the completed ones, so we are heading to the officer's deck. I think he went this way, maybe? No? No, he did not. We're gonna kind of run over here. Nope, not over there. Maybe over here? Let's go see. Alright, don't get shot. Oh, this guy is just smoking people with his melta gun. Wakefur or Edelthread, I can't tell. Vokveer. Gunnar Vokveer lets out a sigh of relief upon seeing you. Thank Providence, you are all alive and well. Always on time, eh, Kunrad? The moment we finish chasing the riffraff around the deck, you show up. Always just after the fighting's done. You could set your chrono by it. Kunrad pointedly looks away from the Arch-Militant to you. Mort, pull yourself together. The Arch-Militant looks back at you. What did the Lord Captain send you to chivvy us along? We are all done here. I'll report right away. Moore poses box from the boat and hurriedly reports the situation. Theodora, Master of Whispers, what is happening on my ship? The Voxen is silent. The Vox Master is not responding. Armed assailants have stormed the officer's deck, and my arch-militant just destroyed several more heretics on the way here. Is this a severe case of warp madness? Have some of my crew lost their minds and forgotten who they are and whom they serve? Reports. I have not yet received word from the Engineerium regarding any Gellerfield field failures, but communications were already unstable half an hour ago, and now they have ceased altogether. Whatever the cause may be, the consequences are spreading fast. I am receiving scattered reports from the middle decks, and the only vox casts from the lower bays are one-way heretical gibberish. Wilkveer pauses. That the madmen have already reached officer's deck suggests that this outrage was planned in advance. Perhaps this is an organized mutiny. Alright, let's see. How are we going to lead here? You know, leading a ship, being of kind of from the Imperium, we're gonna take a balanced approach. Like, we're gonna want to keep our people relatively happy and alive, but being an Imperial officer, leading, you know, commanding a ship of thousands, we're also okay sacrificing people for the greater good. So we're gonna do a little balance. Like, given that we were kind of caught for some piracy, we're not overly beholden to all the imperial rules like we might be if we were, say, like a commissar. So who could attempt a mutiny here in the warp? That makes sense. Lunatics, fools, heretics. This ship houses thousands upon thousands of people. Pernicious thoughts and warp-induced delusions could have tainted any one of them. It is a difficult notion to accept, but such risks are inescapable. First, we have to confirm that the bridge and the navigator's sanctum are secure, and I have the means to do both things at once. Her expression changes as her eyes flashes ominously. Ominously? Theodore looks at Vokvir. Edelthrad, where is he? I must know if he is unharmed. A psyker aboard a ship that is potentially being assailed by the warp could pose a greater threat to himself and others than a whole army of madmen with improvised weapons. I tried to locate him, but the last thing known about his movements is that he arrived in Translational Deck 18. Blast it. Master whispered, find Edelthrad immediately. Sinistral locate Salt's last of the Sister of Battle. So Argenta. Both are to remain at my side. Arch militant with me. I must go to my study, and it appears that we might encounter heretics along the way. Shadow Coast. Theodore glances at you thoughtfully. If I may, Lord Captain. Vokvir's voice is soft and cautious. Translational Deck 18 is at the heart of the disturbance, and if our goal is to bring Edelthrad back, I could use some support. After all, I am not as adept at directly confronting enemies of the house as the esteemed Arch Militant, and taking into consideration Edelthrad's psychic powers... I guess we're going with him. Then it's settled. Shadow Coast, find Edelthrad and bring him here, and whatever say you find him. This elevator, she points to the massive door, leads to restricted compartments such as my personal chambers and the bridge. Do not let me down. I require you both. Do you understand? Alright, I shall do everything in my power. Theodore hisses in fury. Not everything in your power. You will do as I say. I'll have your heads if you fail. Is that clear? Then move out. More to come. Alright. Well, she always gets her way. She is the Lord Rogue Trader. Let's get moving. Vokver gives you a nod. Are you ready to head to 18? It is a long walk, and you don't even have the proper gear. I shall make do. Lead the way. Of course you will. He rummages in his pocket for something. Lady Theodora would never have someone she couldn't rely on as one of her heirs. But that is no longer relevant. With a pop and a sharp crackle, something hits you in the abdomen, and you are consumed by unbearable, gut-wrenching pain. Oh, snap! We knew he was a rat. I promised you a special destiny, Shadow Coast. It is time to fulfill it. I can't say I'm surprised. The prestige of being a rogue trader and having the warrant to trade, I'm sure, is enough to make any potentially loyal subject consider taking action. Oh, that wasn't nice. He just kicked me in the side. That
Careful,
guy's gonna eat it.
careful. Be gentle with our guest. He has an important mission to complete during our visit to the Warrant Chamber. And for that, I need him breathing. Oh, you are back with us, I see. Delightful.
Alright, we're smart. We concluded. Vogvir, you two-faced scum. You're the one behind this mayhem.
How perceptive of you. I'll help you with the next insight. I need you here for your blood. You have the option to share it voluntarily, or I will squeeze it out of you myself.
Alright.
We are in the anteroom of the Warrant Chamber, this void ship's most hallowed vault. There, beyond those gates, lies the relic that gives Theodora all of her power. The sacred Warrant of Trade. Only one obstacle remains on my path to obtaining it. The gates of the chamber are guarded by the Sentinel, an ancient device that will only open the door to a true heir of the dynasty. I expected to do this part myself, but never mind. You will offer your blood to the Sentinel.
Alright, what is it, inbred? Is your blood too thin for the Sentinel? Alright, we have a little,
On the
humor.
contrary, the Warp's blessing has raised me too much above your kind, Fon Valencius. The Sentinel refused to submit to me. But you can help. After all, isn't that what family is for?
Alright, coercion. What sorry, pathetic excuse do you even have for your apostasis, you sordid, wretched piece of grok shit?
Wretched? What do you know about wretchedness? Theodora's cur. Are you hoping to buy a grain of her indulgence with your blind loyalty? Oh, I know this delusion. But thank the gods it no longer has power over me. Humanity can rot. I no longer serve mortal kind.
You've succumbed to the powers of chaos.
Once my work is done, I'll make that pompous wench Fon Valencius watch as I sacrifice her entire dynasty and commit their fate to the gods. And you will be the instrument by which I will accomplish this righteous act.
Skill tests. One of the available dialogue options require making a skill test. Unlike with passive tests, which are made automatically, in this case you can decide whether or not to select an option, the consequences of which will depend on the result of the associated test. Alright, so success and failures can, get out. I am not your puppet. Fight the voices in your head. Voices in your head giggle and mock your desperate outcry. You feel this intruding influence forcing you onto your feet and making you take a step toward the gates looming in the center of the chamber. Well, we clearly failed. We tried to resist, though. We're not going to just go off easily. In the gateway arc, you see a cogitator with a human likeness built into the front panel. As you approach, the torso twitches slightly. This is a servitor, an obedient automaton created from a lobotomized human being. The Sentinel turns its head to you, one of its eyes sockets lighting up with two ember-like irises. Tech use, examine 45. 75%. We're probably going to fail, but we might as well try. Test succeeded. Alright, that's good. You carefully inspect the design of the cogitator. What immediately catches your eyes is the strained alloy that was used as material for the machine's components, some of which are unfamiliar to you. You suspect this might be some kind of archaeotech relic, an incredibly rare and powerful piece of technology from humanity's ancient past. So humanity has lost a lot of what it knows in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The servitor on the gate begins to move. With a screeching and groaning of metal, it leans forward, closer to you. Its lower jaw opens with a drawn-out shriek, much wider than the jaw of a living human could. The servitor's mouth is filled with sharp metallic fangs that glint in the dim light. The vid screen to the right of you lights up, showing strings of mysterious symbols in the background. A whisper runs through your consciousness, insisting, demanding sacrifice. The voices that filled your head after Voigtver wounded you with his blade did not go away. On the contrary, their source coiled itself around into tight knots somewhere in the depths of your mind. Alright, we're going to examine the Sentinel. The servitor looks noticeably different from the ones you're used to. Its skin covering is stitched together with copper thread and has metal hinges in place of the standard joints. It seems that the creators of the Sentinel did everything to ensure that the service life of this unit would be much longer than ordinary automatons. Alright. We'll put our hand in here. The sentinel jaws clamp around your hand, puncturing your skin and sinking into your flesh. A few dark drops fall into the servitor's throat, and immediately you hear humming as the servo motors start up and the pumps stir into motion. The vid screen of the cogitator flickers. Several long minutes pass. The sentinel's jaws remain closed, and you are beginning to feel sick. Perhaps you were to lean against the, if you were to lean against the gate, you could catch your breath. Maybe even close your eyes and pretend none of this ever happened.
High levels of caustic humus. The subject is in a state of heightened stress. Do you require assistance?
You do not understand where this quiet voice is coming from, crackling like static. Is it the sentinel, the cogitator? Is it a figment of your weary mind? Whichever it is, you can clearly hear every word. Yes, yes, I do require assistance. Pain shoots through your head and subsides just as quickly. It would seem the entity coiled in your consciousness does not have the ability to do you any real harm.
Request accepted. Initiating defense protocol.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Ho ho! That is what you get.
Well, there is still another way.
Should we run after him? We're just gonna check on the war and trade. Where'd he go? Alright, I guess we...
Is there money to be made? Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
What's over here? Alright, that was... Oh, here's the warrant of trade. Look at that thing. Let it be known that by my will and by the true words of this document, I appoint this person to be the bearer of the warrant of trade, to be the paragon of humanity, unbroken by adversity, to walk bravely first into the dark, to triumph over nightmares untold, to hold boldly in the reins of fate, to walk steadily the roads of thorns. That is impressive.
Escort the child of the house to safety.
Alright, who are you? Who addresses me?
Temporary obnubilation following acute stress. Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel, standing by.
Are you the Warren Sentinel?
Mobile unit of the Warren Sentinel, designed as a personal escort of the child of the house and a means of communicating with the rogue trader's subjects. Mobile unit standing by.
I need to contact Theodora.
Foxcast frequencies disrupted. Initiating setup. Establishing connection.
In the place of mechanical screeching, the servoscope's vox projects the voice of Theodore von Valencius, distorted and ridden with static, yet still recognizable beyond any doubt. Voxmaster, restore communication from the Navigator's sanctum. I am trying to contact the bridge. If anyone can hear me on this frequency, regroup all available forces and head to the upper decks at once. I repeat, regroup all available forces and head...
Communication protocols breached. Signal latency assessment unavailable. Unable to establish two-way connection.
Alright, I need a weapon. I'm utterly defensive.
Distance from the current location to the nearest arsenal. Initiating situational calculations.
The servo skull goes silent. It relays clicking. Second after second passes, and you realize that the servo skull will not answer you.
Middle and upper decks. Assuming the probability of safe placement in areas of concentration of armed units. Calculating. To prevent unauthorized units from breaching the warrant chamber, preemptive sealing must be initiated. The mobile unit will start executing the received order immediately after the safety of the warrant is secured.
Alright, as the game story unfolds, you will see notifications at the top of the screen indicating that the status of your current objective has been updated and that new information has been added to your journal. You can open the journal by pressing J or left mouse button on the notification on the top of the screen. Journal entries help you keep track of current events and guide your character on their journey. The Quest tab tracks the progress of the main story. The Rumors and Contracts section also contain important information. You will learn more about them later. Long story short, there's a lot of information. Old injury, stack of 1, Dermot. An injury that wasn't healed in time. It can be healed with a med kit, but it requires passing a Medicaid skill test.
Always keep
Alright,
your eye
so
on the
we are
prize.
going to call this an episode. Let's just seal the warrant of trade. Or
Master. What? Whatever are you doing in the warrant chamber? How did you... Throne preserve me. What is the meaning of this?
Kunrad Voivor is a traitor. When we parted ways on the opposite deck, he stunned me somehow and brought me here.
What?
He needed to take revenge on Theodora for something, and trying to reach the warrant was somehow part of the plan.
Oh, holy God, Emperor. I presume he is the one responsible for the mutiny. And, Master, I wish to remind you that you are to refer to the Lord Captain as Lady Theodora.
Alright, so it would seem, but he is not here, and we have a mutiny to end.
Indeed. Indeed. That is easier said than done, of course. But seeing one of Lady Theodora's heirs alive inspires at least some degree of optimism. You're in a bad way. I can treat your wounds. I have a Medicaid kit with me. And, for the love of the throne, now is not a good time to be walking around the decks without means of self-defense. Here.
Alright, while fighting your characters, your character can lose some of their wounds. That's basically our health points or HP. Your character can suffer from an injury after being attacked by Kunrad, or we did suffer an injury. This happens when a character receives damage that exceeds 50% of their maximum wounds within one round. The exact percentage of wounds a character must lose for this to happen may vary depending on the difficulty of the game. Injuries reduce the character's resolve, which is important. When a character initially suffers an injury, it is considered a fresh injury during the first 3 rounds. Once 3 rounds have passed, the fresh injury becomes an old injury. Fresh injury can be healed with using a med kit without passing a skill check. Old injuries have to pass a skill check. Note that when a character loses all their wounds, they fall unconscious. Once combat is over, the wounds of all party members are replenished automatically, but any injuries they may have sustained remain. So injuries are permanent. The wounds or HP loss we suffer, we're going to regain that between each fight, which is great. Or at least when combat ends. Medic kits can only be used by characters who have field medic feature, base skill, Medicaid, or have been taken the Medicaid skill advancement at least once. Whenever a character uses a medkit in battle, a Medicaid skill test determines the number of wounds that will be healed. Abelard can heal your character, so we're going to go ahead and do that. You got new items. So we're going to click I for inventory here. We're going to go boom, right click equip, right click equip, right click equip. What is that? Armored body glove. We are going to go over here. Let's put that there. And we're going to do this. To equip weapons and armor, we just did that. You can switch between party members.
There's no way.
Your seneschal is always there for you. We are the spearhead of the Imperium. Look no further.
Alright, why don't you heal us? No, 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 no.
That is a noticeable improvement. Now you're The lower decks are teeming with heretics instigating the rabble to revolt. But that is the least of our problems. The ship's enforcers are rounding up the scoundrels and suppressing the resistance. The situation on the middle decks is much worse, although strike teams have already been dispatched there. All communication with the bridge and the engineering bay was lost. So, apart from scattered voxcasts, we have no information to go on. But that is not the worst of it. All these jolts and shaking are most alarming. These are signs that the navigator and the master helmsman are having difficulty translating the ship out of the wall and into real space. I fear that they may have already lost control. We must reach the navigator's sanctum and get a handle on the situation. If we can manage that, some aboard this vessel may yet survive.
The Navigator's Sanctum. Very well. Will you lead the way?
Absolutely. Let us proceed.
Alright, a wave of static suddenly erupts from the servo skull, and you can make out Theodora's words from through the noise. To arms, loyal sons and daughters of the God Emperor, fight the heresy and corruption that threatens to consume our home, and with all your might destroy those who have dared.
The Lord Captain is calling her crew to battle, which means the Vox networks are set up for broadcast transmission, not message exchange. Splendid. While the rogue trader inspires proper resolve to fight in her subjects, you and I shall prove that her trust in us is well deserved.
Alright.
Run, fools!
We are going to call this an episode. We're trying to keep these closer to 30 to 45 minutes. We have tactical phases in combat. We can actually position ourselves. So we will get into that in the next episode. If you do want to see more of this Lord Captain Officer played through, please be sure to drop a thumbs up and comment. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you in future videos. Shadow Coast out.